I don't care what anyone says, I love her, and I'm going to marry her." The room went quiet. The king stared at his son like he didn't recognize him anymore. Around them, uncles, advisors, and nobles sat frozen, unsure of who should speak next. "You can't be serious," one of them finally said. "She's not fit to be a queen," another added quickly. The prince shook his head. "You don't even know her." "We know enough," the king said. "She's a maid's daughter." "So what?" the prince replied. "Does that make her less human?" "This isn't about feelings," the king said. "It's about the throne." "And that's the problem," the prince snapped. "Everything is always about the throne." "You're angry," the king said calmly. "You'll think differently when you cool down." "I've been thinking about this for months," the prince said. "This isn't anger. This is a decision." A low murmur spread through the room. "If you go through with this," one advisor said, "you'll bring shame to this family." The prince looked around the room. "Then maybe this family needs to be ashamed." The words hit hard. The king stood up slowly. "If you choose her, you lose the privileges of this palace." The prince didn't hesitate. "Then I'll walk away with her." No one spoke after that, and even though the argument had just started, everyone in the room knew this fight didn't begin today. It began weeks earlier. Back then, the prince wasn't arguing with anyone. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't even being noticed. He was standing near a side corridor in the palace, watching servants move in and out like they were part of the walls. That was when he saw her. She was hurrying down the hall with a tray in her hands, trying to avoid a guard who was clearly in a bad mood. "Move!" the guard barked. She moved too fast. The tray slipped. The sound echoed through the corridor. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, dropping down. "I'll clean it." The guard sighed in annoyance. "Every day it's the same thing with you people." "It's fine," the prince said. The guard turned, surprised. "Your Highness..." "I said it's fine." The girl looked up then. She didn't smile. She didn't panic. She just looked surprised that someone had spoken up for her. "Thank you," she said quietly. "What's your name?" the prince asked. "Amara." "Maid." "Maid's daughter." He nodded. "You work here every day?" "Yes." "For long hours?" She smiled a little. "Long enough." Something about her answer stayed with him. That night, the prince sat alone in his room, staring at the clothes laid out for him the next day. Expensive clothes. Heavy clothes. Earlier that day, 3 noble families had sent gifts, each one trying to outdo the other. He hadn't opened any of them. He kept thinking about how Amara had thanked him like kindness was rare. The next morning, when his advisors started talking about marriage arrangements, the prince interrupted him. "Do any of them know how to clean a spilled tray?" he asked. The advisor blinked. "Your Highness?" "Never mind." That was the morning he decided to find out something for himself. That night, dressed in simple clothes, the prince left the palace through a small gate no one paid attention to. No guards, no announcement, just a young man stepping into a life where his name meant nothing. The next few days weren't easy. People ignored him. Some spoke to him like he wasn't worth their time. Others made promises they didn't keep. For the first time in his life, he felt tired in a way sleep didn't fix. Then, near the palace kitchens, he saw Amara again. She was washing dishes outside, sleeves rolled up, talking to another maid. When she noticed him, she frowned. "You're back." "I needed work," he said. She studied him for a second. "You don't look like you belong here." He smiled. "Neither do you." She laughed softly. "I belong wherever they tell me to stand." He shook his head. "That's not true." She didn't argue. She just went back to work, and without realizing it, the prince stayed. That was how it started. Not with love, not with plans, just 2 people crossing paths in a place neither of them truly belonged. The first morning outside the palace, Kale realized he hadn't packed anything besides a few coins. His stomach growled, and his hands shook slightly as he approached the small market at the edge of the town. "Looking for work?" a man asked, eyeing his plain clothes. "Yes," Kale said, trying to sound confident. "Anything." The man snorted. Anything? You mean carrying sacks or cleaning stables? Kale nodded. Sacks are fine. By midday, he was already aching from lifting crates heavier than his imagination had allowed. People shouted at him, some pushed him aside, others laughed as he struggled. It was nothing like the palace where everyone bowed automatically, and yet for the first time, he felt alive. Later, he found himself near the palace kitchens again. He wasn't sure why he had returned, except that something about that area pulled him in. That's when he saw her. Amara. She was kneeling on the stone steps, carefully washing vegetables, water splashing onto her sleeves. She looked up briefly, then frowned. "You're back," she said. "I needed work," Kyle said. "You don't look like someone who works for a living," she teased. "I'm learning," he said. She raised an eyebrow. "And how's that going?" "Terribly," he admitted, and for the first time, she laughed in his presence. It was small, like a secret being shared, but it made his chest feel lighter. "Come on," she said. "If you're going to stand around, at least help me chop these vegetables." "I can do that," he said. She handed him a knife, showing him how to slice the tomatoes without crushing them. "You're hopeless," she said, watching his clumsy attempt. "And you're cruel," he said, laughing despite himself. They worked side by side in silence for a few minutes, broken only by the sound of chopping and water splashing. "You live nearby?" Kale asked suddenly. "I stay with my mother," she said. "Not far. She's been sick lately, so I help where I can." "You have to work so hard," he said. "Doesn't anyone help you?" She shook her head. "People don't always have time, and bitterness doesn't put food on the table." Kale blinked. Her words hit harder than he expected. They ate together later, sharing a small loaf of bread she had divided between them. He noticed she had barely enough for herself. "You don't have to share," he said quietly. "I do," she said simply. "It's enough to make a difference." Kale realized then that this was what he had been searching for. Not just love, not just attention, but someone whose heart wasn't measured by what they had or who they knew. Over the next few days, he returned as often as he could. They talked while chopping, washing, or carrying water. At first it was small talk, then slowly they shared little pieces of themselves. "What do you dream about?" he asked one afternoon as they swept the floor of the kitchen courtyard. She shrugged. "A small house, enough to eat. Someone who listens." "You don't want gold or jewels?" he asked. She shook her head. "I've seen what gold does to people. I want something better than that." He nodded, thinking about the palace and the nobles who smiled at him only because of his name. "You could leave this place," he said quietly. "Live somewhere else." "And go where?" she asked. "I don't know," he admitted. "Anywhere that isn't like this." "Then I stay," she said simply. "Wherever I'm needed." Kyle laughed softly. "I didn't know someone could be so stubborn about small things." "I didn't know someone could be so clueless about life," she shot back, smiling. He kept coming back. And each time the laughter came easier. The conversations grew longer. The silences felt like shared moments rather than awkward pauses. One day he forgot his small pouch of coins entirely. "Wait, you don't have money?" she asked, noticing him counting imaginary coins. "I left it," he admitted. "You're going to starve," she said. "I'll manage," he said. "No," she said, and handed him half of her small portion of bread. He hesitated. "You barely have enough for yourself." "Then it's all the more reason to share," she said firmly. "You can't just walk around looking hungry and expect someone to feel sorry for you." He took the bread, unsure if it was the hunger in his stomach or the warmth in his chest that made him tremble. Later, he sat alone on the steps after everyone else had left. He thought about the council chamber, about the shouting, about the privileges of the palace. None of it mattered anymore. What mattered was the girl who gave half her bread to a stranger, smiled at him without judgment, and treated him like a person instead of a title. He didn't know it yet, but for the first time, Kale realized that testing love wasn't just about finding out if someone would stay with him. It was about whether he could let himself love someone fully, and he wasn't sure he was ready for that yet. Kale woke that morning with an empty stomach. The pouch of coins he had brought was gone, somewhere lost or stolen, and he had nothing to trade for food. He tried to ignore the gnawing hunger as he headed to the market, but by the time he reached the edge of the palace kitchens, his stomach had convinced him to admit defeat. Amara was there, carrying a bucket of water. She spotted him and frowned. "You look awful," she said. "I've had better days," Kyle replied, forcing a smile. "You haven't eaten, have you?" "I can manage," he said. "You can manage?" she repeated, incredulous. "Kyle, you're shaking. You can't manage." "I'm fine," he said, but his voice cracked slightly. She studied him for a moment, then sighed. "I can't let you starve like this. Come on." Before he could protest, she reached into her bag and handed him a small, wrapped portion of food. "I can't take this," he said. "You can," she insisted. "You'd do the same for someone else, right?" "I don't know if I would," he admitted. "Well, you can take mine," she said, "and you can thank me later." He took the food with shaking hands and ate in silence, feeling both gratitude and something heavier, deeper, stirring inside him. Days passed, and Kale's life in disguise became harder. The work was exhausting, the meals meager, and the people around him often rude or suspicious. And yet, he kept returning to Amara. "You're stubborn," she said one evening as they washed dishes side by side. "I'm learning from the best," he replied. "You're ridiculous," she said, laughing. "You love it," he teased. She hit his arm lightly. "I tolerate it." Their conversations grew longer. She told him about her mother, about her hopes for a small home, about the people in the palace she had never met but admired from afar. He listened. He laughed. He shared little bits about his own life, but always carefully, never revealing the truth. And the more time he spent with her, the more he realized how much he didn't want to leave, but he had to. One afternoon, a nobleman came to the market looking for laborers. Kale followed the crowd, trying not to be noticed, but he stumbled over a cart and sent baskets of fruit tumbling to the ground. "Careful!" someone shouted. Kale froze, embarrassed. He felt all the eyes on him. "Are you all right?" Amara's voice came from behind him. She had followed him, worried. I'm fine," he said. "Then stand up straight," she said firmly. "You're making a scene." You're lucky I'm here," she interrupted, pointing at the scattered fruit. "Otherwise, everyone would just watch and laugh." He laughed nervously, feeling both relief and frustration. He hated needing her help, and yet he couldn't deny how much it mattered. That night, Kale lay awake thinking about the day's events. He had started this journey to see if someone could love him without knowing who he was, but now he realized he couldn't stop thinking about her. He wanted her to see him for who he truly was, and that scared him. A week later, Kale decided to test her loyalty. He pretended that he had lost all his earnings for the week, that someone had stolen his few remaining coins, and that he had no way to buy food or pay for shelter. When Amara found him sitting on the steps, head in hands, she didn't hesitate. "You didn't eat?" she asked. "I can't," he said quietly. "You'll starve," she said. "Not if I can help it." She handed him half of her portion of bread again. You barely have enough," he said. "Then it's all the more reason to share," she said. He looked at her, feeling something swell in his chest he had never named before. Love? Gratitude? Both? "You're impossible," he said finally, laughing softly. "And you're stubborn," she replied, smiling. He realized that he couldn't pretend anymore, not fully. The more he tried to maintain his disguise, the more he found himself drawn to her laughter, her stubbornness, and her heart. And yet, the secret had to stay. He could not let anyone know who he really was, not yet. But the harder he tried to act normal, the more impossible it became. One afternoon, as they carried water together, she asked, "Kale, why do you always disappear for a while and come back looking tired?" "I have things to do," he said, avoiding her gaze. "You don't have to hide from me," she said softly. He swallowed. It's complicated. I like simple, she said. I wish it could be simple, he admitted. And for a moment, there was silence between them, comfortable and heavy at the same time. Later that evening, as the sun set and the market closed, Kyle watched her walk away, wondering how he could ever reveal the truth without losing everything he had just begun to find. Because the truth was no longer just about him, it was about both of them. And if he wasn't careful, the next mistake could ruin everything. The market was unusually quiet that morning, the sun barely over the horizon. Kyle waited near the kitchen steps, nervous in a way he hadn't been since he first left the palace. Amara appeared, carrying a basket of herbs. She smiled at him, and for a moment, everything felt normal. I have to tell you something, he said, suddenly unable to hold it in. She frowned. What is it? I'm not who you think I am, he said, his voice shaking slightly. Her eyebrows rose. What do you mean? I'm not just some random laborer, he admitted. I'm Kale, the prince. For a second, her eyes widened so much he thought they might pop out of her head. You... What? She said, laughing nervously. Stop joking. I'm not joking, he said. I left the palace. I wanted to know who would stay with me if I had nothing. Amara stared at him, her hands trembling slightly around the basket. All this time? You were testing me? No, he said quickly. Not testing. I just wanted to know if someone could care about me for me, not because of my title. And I think I've learned the answer. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she laughed softly, a mixture of disbelief and relief. You're insane, she said. And you love it, he replied. She rolled her eyes, but her hands didn't move away from his. That afternoon, word spread across the palace that the prince had been seen working among commoners, eating bread from a maid's hands. The council and the king were furious. Kyle walked into the throne room with Amara beside him. Heads turned, whispers filled the air. Kyle, the king said, cold and sharp. What is the meaning of this? He took a deep breath. Father, I love her. I don't care about noble families or gifts or appearances. I want to marry Amara. She's a servant, the king said, his voice rising. This is unacceptable. Kale didn't flinch. She's the bravest, kindest person I've ever met. She treated me like a man, not a crown. And that means more than all the titles in this room. The king stared at him, silence filling the room. Then Kale turned to Amara. Do you want this? He asked gently. Amara swallowed hard, then nodded. Yes, she said firmly. I want this. The room was still for a heartbeat. Then the king sighed. Not the sharp, angry sigh of before, but a long, weary exhale. Then so be it, he said. You may marry. But remember, Kale, love is more than just bravery. Protect her, and she will protect you. Kale's chest swelled, relief and joy mixing together. He took Amara's hand, holding it tight. I promise, he said. She smiled, eyes sparkling. I promise too. Weeks later, the palace was filled with laughter and music. Noble families still whispered about the marriage, but Kale didn't care. The halls felt different now, alive in a way they never had. Amara walked beside him, no longer just a maid's daughter, but someone who had chosen to love him, and been loved in return. One evening, as they sat on the palace balcony, watching the sun set over the kingdom, Kale turned to her. You know, he said, I thought I had to leave everything to find you. You did, she said softly, leaning against him. But you also found yourself along the way. He smiled, holding her close. I did. She laughed lightly. And all it took was a little bread, a lot of stubbornness, and you acting like a fool. Foolishness runs in the family, he teased. They laughed together, and for the first time, everything felt complete. Kale realized that love wasn't about titles or wealth. It was about choosing someone every day, even when the world said you shouldn't, and he chose her. So if you've enjoyed this story, Make sure to subscribe for more tales of love and courage, like if you felt the tension with Kyle and Amara, and comment your favorite part of the story below. Because sometimes love isn't about what you have, it's about who you see in someone when the world refuses to.